Reading through the Bible in 1 year, June 9th, Deuteronomy chapters 13 through 14, Psalms 99 through 101, Isaiah 41, and Revelation chapter 11. If a prophet or a dreamer of dreams arises among you and gives you a sign or a wonder, and the sign or the wonder comes true, concerning which he spoke to you, saying, "Let us walk after other gods, whom you have not known, and let us serve them," you shall not listen to the words of the prophet or that dreamer of dreams, for Yahweh your God is testing you, to find out if you love Yahweh your God with all your heart and with all your soul. You shall walk after Yahweh your God, and fear him, and you shall keep his commandments, listen to his voice, serve him, and cling to him. But if that prophet or dreamer of dreams, but that prophet or dreamer of dreams shall be put to death, because he has counseled rebellion against Yahweh your God, who brought you from the land of Egypt, and redeemed you from the house of slavery, to drive you from the way in which Yahweh your God commanded you to walk. So you shall purge the evil from among you. If your brother, your mother's son or your daughter, or the wife you cherish, or your friend who is as your own soul, entices you secretly, saying, "Let us go and serve other gods, whom neither you nor your fathers have known, or the gods of the peoples who are around you, of the gods of the peoples who are around you, near you or far from you, from one end of the earth to the other end," you shall not be willing to accept him or listen to him, and your eyes shall not pity him. And you shall not spare him or conceal him, but you shall surely kill him. Your hand shall be the first against him to put him to death, and afterwards the hand of all the people. So you shall stone him to death, because he has sought to drive you out from Yahweh your God, who brought you out from the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. Thus all Israel will hear and be afraid, and will never again do such an evil thing among you. If you hear in one of your cities, which Yahweh your God is driving you, starting over, verse 12. If you hear in one of your cities, which Yahweh your God is giving you to live in, anyone saying that, some vile men have gone out from among you and have driven the inhabitants of their city astray, saying, "Let us go and serve other gods whom you have not known," then you shall inquire and search out and ask thoroughly. Behold, if it is true and the matter is confirmed that this abomination has been done among you, you shall surely strike the inhabitants of that city with the edge of the sword. Making sure we don't lose any notes here. Cool. Verse 16. Then you shall scatter all its spoil, you shall gather all of its spoil into the middle of its open square, and burn the city and all its spoil with fire, as a whole burnt offering to Yahweh your God, and it shall be a ruin forever. It shall never be rebuilt. Now, nothing from that which is devoted to destruction shall cling to your hand, in order that Yahweh may turn from his burning anger and grant compassion to you, and show compassion to you, and make you multiply, just as he has sworn to your fathers, if you will listen to the voice of Yahweh your God, keeping all his commandments which I am commanding you today, and doing what is right in the sight of Yahweh your God. Chapter 14. You are the sons of Yahweh your God. You shall not gash yourselves, nor shave your foreheads for the sake of the dead. Sounds weird, but these are the things that the people were doing in that time in worship to their pagan gods. Continuing in verse 2, for you are a holy people to Yahweh your God, and Yahweh has chosen you to be a people for his treasured possession out of all the peoples who are on the face of the earth. You shall not eat any abominable thing. These are the animals which you may eat: the ox, the sheep, the goat, the deer, the gazelle, the roebuck, the wild goat, the ibex, the antelope, and the mountain sheep. And any animal that divides the hoof, and has the hoof split in two, and chews the cud. Among the animals, that one you may eat. Nevertheless, you are not to eat of these among those which chew the cud, or among those that divide the hoof in two, the camel, and the rabbit, and the chafin. For though they chew the cud, they do not divide the hoof. They are unclean for you. And the pig, because it divides the hoof, but does not chew the cud, it is unclean for you. You shall not eat any of their flesh, nor touch their carcasses. These you may eat of all that are in water. Anything that has fins and scales you may eat, but anything that does not have fins and scales you shall not eat. It is unclean for you. You may eat any clean bird, but these are the ones which you shall not eat: the eagle, and the vulture, and the buzzard, and the red kite, and the falcon, and the kite in their kinds, and every raven in its kind, and the ostrich, the owl, the gull, and the hawk in their kinds, the little owl, the great owl, the white owl, the pelican, the carrion vulture, the cormorant, the stork, and the heron in their kinds, and the hoopoe, and the bat. And all the teeming life with wings are unclean to you. They shall not be eaten. You may eat any clean bird. You shall not eat anything which dies of itself. You may give it to the sojourner who is within your gates, so that he may eat of it, or you may sell it to a foreigner. For you are a people, rather you are a holy people to Yahweh your God. Again, holy here doesn't mean like, oh, like you're glowing or whatever. It literally just means you are separated for purpose. That's what holy means. Continuing on, you shall not boil a young goat in its mother's milk. You shall surely tithe all the produce from what you sow, which comes out from the field every year. And you shall eat in the presence of Yahweh your God, at the place where he chooses for his name to dwell, the tithe of your grain, your new wine, your oil, and the firstborn of your herd and your flock, so that you may learn to fear Yahweh your God in all your days. And if the distance is too great for you, so that you are not able to bring the tithe, since the place where Yahweh your God chooses to set his name is too far away from you, when Yahweh your God blesses you, then you shall exchange it for money, and bind the money in your hand, and go to the place which Yahweh your God chooses. And you may spend the money for whatever your heart desires, for oxen, or sheep, or wine, or strong drink, or whatever your heart desires. And there you shall eat in the presence of Yahweh your God, and be glad, you and your household. Also, you shall not forsake the Levite who is within your gates, for he has no portion or inheritance among you. At the end of every 3rd year, you shall bring out all the tithe of your produce in that year, and deposit it within your gates. And the Levite, because he has no portion or inheritance among you, and the sojourner, and the orphan, and the widow who are within your gates, shall come and eat and be satisfied, in order that Yahweh your God may bless you in all the work of your hand which you do. Moving on now to Psalms 99 through 101. Yahweh reigns. Let the peoples tremble. He sits enthroned above the cherubim. Let the earth quake. Yahweh is great in Zion. He is exalted above all the peoples. Let them praise your great and awesome name. Holy is he. The strength of the king loves justice. You have established equity. You have done justice and righteousness in Jacob. Exalt Yahweh, our God, and worship at the footstool of his feet. Holy is he. Moses and Aaron were among his priests, and Samuel was among those who called on his name. They would call upon Yahweh, and he would answer them. He would speak to them in the pillar of cloud. They kept his testimonies and the statute that he had given them. O Yahweh our God, you answered them. You are a forgiving God to them, and yet an avenger of their evil deeds. Exalt Yahweh our God, and worship at his holy mountain. For holy is Yahweh our God. Now Psalm 100. Make a loud shout to Yahweh, all the earth. Serve Yahweh with gladness. Come before him with joyful songs. Know that Yahweh, he is God. It is he who has made us, and not we ourselves. We are his people, and the sheep of his pasture. Enter his gates with thanksgiving, and his courts with praise. Give thanks to him, bless his name, for Yahweh is good. His loving kindness endures forever, and his faithfulness generation unto generation. Psalm 101. I will sing of loving kindness and justice. To you, O Yahweh, I will sing praises. I will consider the way of the blameless. When will you come to me? I will walk within my house in the integrity of my heart. I will set no vile thing before my eyes. I hate the work of those who fall away. It shall not cling to me. The crooked heart shall depart from me. I will know no evil. Whoever secretly slanders his neighbor, him I will destroy. Whoever has a haughty look and an arrogant heart, I will not endure. My eyes shall be upon the faithful of the land, that they may abide with me. He who walks in the way of the blameless is the one who will minister to me. He who practices deceit shall not dwell within my house. He who speaks lies shall not be established before my eyes. Every morning I will destroy all the wicked of the land, to cut off from the city of Yahweh all the workers of iniquity. Now Isaiah 41. Coastlands, listen to me in silence, and let the peoples gain new power. Let them come forward, then let them speak. Let us draw near together for judgment. Who has awakened one from the east, whom he calls in righteousness to his feet? He gives up nations before him, and he has dominion over kings. He makes them like dust with his sword, as the wind-driven chaff with his bow. He pursues them, passing on in peace, by a way he had not come with his feet. He who has worked and done it, calling forth the generations. Starting over, verse 4 again. Who has worked and done it, calling forth the generations from the beginning? I, Yahweh, am the first, and with the last I am he. The coastlands have seen and are afraid. The ends of the earth tremble. They have drawn near and have come. Each one helps his neighbor and says to his brother, be strong. So the craftsman strengthens the smelter, and he who smooths metal with the hammer strengthens him who beats the anvil, saying of the soldering, it is good. And he strengthens it with his nails, so that it will not be shaken. But you, Israel, my servant, Jacob, whom I have chosen, seed of Abraham, my friend, you whom I have strongly taken hold of from the ends of the earth, and called from its remotest parts, and said to you, you are my servant, I have chosen you and not rejected you. Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not anxiously look about you, for I am your God. I will make you mighty. Surely I will help you. Surely I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. Behold, all those who are angered at you will be shamed and dishonored. Those who contend with you will be as nothing and will perish. You will seek those who quarrel with you, but will not find them. Those who war with you will be as nothing and non-existent. For I am Yahweh, your God, who strongly takes hold of your right hand, who says to you, do not fear, I will help you. Do not fear, you worm Jacob, you men of Israel. I will help you, declares Yahweh, and your Redeemer is the Holy One of Israel. Behold, I have made you a new, sharp threshing sledge with double edges. You will thresh the mountains and pulverize them, and you will make the hills like chaff. You will winnow them, and the wind will carry them away, and the storm will scatter them. But you will rejoice in Yahweh. You will boast in the Holy One of Israel. The afflicted and needy are seeking water, but there is none, and their tongue is parched with thirst. I, Yahweh, will answer them myself. As the God of Israel, I will not forsake them. I will open rivers on the bare heights and springs in the midst of the valleys. I will make the wilderness a pool of water, and the dry land fountains of water. I will put the cedar in the wilderness, the acacia and the myrtle and the olive tree. I will place the juniper in the desert, together with the box tree and the cypress, that they may see and know and establish and gain insight as well, that the hand of Yahweh has done this, and the Holy One of Israel has created it. Bring near your case, Yahweh says. Bring forward your mighty arguments. The King of Jacob says, let them bring it forth and declare to us what is going to take place. As the former events, declare what they were. Rather, as for the former events, declare what they were, that they may establish our heart on them and know their outcome. Or cause us to hear of what is coming. Declare the things that are to come afterward, that we may know that you are gods. Indeed, do good or evil, that we may anxiously look about us and in fear together. Behold, you are nothing, and your work is non-existent. He who chooses you is an abomination. I have awakened one from the north, and he has come. From the rising of the sun, he will call on my name, and he will come upon officials as upon mortar, even as the potter treads clay. Who has declared this from the beginning that we might know, or from former times that we might say, he is right? Surely there was no one who declared, surely there was no one who caused these words to be heard. Surely there was no one who heard your words. Formerly I said to Zion, behold, here they are. And to Jerusalem I will give a messenger of, and to Jerusalem I will give a messenger of good news. But I look, and there is none. And there is no counselor among them, who, if I ask, can respond with a word. Behold, all of them are false. Their works are non-existent. Their molten images are wind and utter formlessness. Concluding today in Revelation chapter 11. Once again, we are in a prophetic book. So I strongly recommend, if you have questions, concerns, anything, that's why I have multiple notes here to help you through it as we go through the text. Let's begin. Then a measuring rod, like a staff, was given to me, saying, get up and measure the sanctuary of God and the altar, and those who worship in it. And leave out the court which is outside the sanctuary, and do not measure it, for it has been given to the Gentiles, and they will trample the holy city underfoot for 42 months. And I will give authority to my 2 witnesses, and they will prophesy for 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth. Again, that's the sign of repentance. That's a sign of humility. Verse 4. These are the 2 olive trees and the 2 lampstands that stand before the Lord of the earth. And if anyone wishes to harm them, fire comes out of their mouth and devours their enemies. So if anyone wishes to harm them, he must be killed in this way. These have the authority to shut up the sky, so that rain will not fall during the days of their prophesying. They also have authority over the waters to turn them into blood, and to strike the earth with every plague as often as they wish. And when they have finished their witness, the beast that comes up out of the abyss will make war with them and overcome them and kill them. And their dead bodies will lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also their Lord was crucified. And those from the peoples and the tribes and tongues and nations will look at their dead bodies for 3.5 days, and will not permit their dead bodies to be laid in a tomb. It's kind of remarkable to me as I read this, because if you think about it, the technology did not exist until just recently, within the last 100 years, for people to see this, to see people from everybody around the world being able to look and see something that's happening live in Jerusalem. It's an astounding thing to think of. And yet, now we're in an age where this could actually occur. Continuing on. And those who dwell on the earth will rejoice over them and celebrate and send gifts to one another. It's Dead Prophets Day, because these two prophets tormented those who dwell on the earth. If you don't think it's possible, just start reading the Bible on a street corner in your town. Out loud. Let people hear the words of God. But after 3.5 days, the breath of life from God came into them, and they stood on their feet, and great fear fell upon those who were watching them. And they heard a loud voice from heaven saying to them, "Come up here." Then they went up into heaven in the cloud, and their enemies watched them. And in that hour there was a great earthquake, and 1/10 of the city fell. 7,000 people were killed in the earthquake, and the rest were terrified and gave glory to the God of heaven. This doesn't mean that they're repenting. They're acknowledging this is something God has done. Verse 14. The second woe is past. Behold, the third woe is coming quickly. Then the seventh angel sounded, and there were loud voices in heaven saying, "The kingdom of this world has become the kingdom of our Lord and of his Christ, and he will reign forever and ever." The 24 elders. Literally just lost my spot here. Sorry. Starting over, verse 16. And the 24 elders who sit on their thrones before God fell on their faces and worshipped God, saying, "We give you thanks, O Lord God, the Almighty, who is and who was, because you have taken your great power and have begun to reign." And the nations were enraged. And your rage came, and the time came for the dead to be judged, and to give reward to your slaves, the prophets and the saints, and those who fear your name, the small and the great, and to destroy those who destroy the earth. And the sanctuary of God which is in heaven was opened, and the ark of his covenant appeared in his sanctuary. And there were flashes of lightning, and sounds and peals of thunder, and an earthquake, and a great hailstorm. That is all of the notes, and that is all the text for today. God willing, we'll be back tomorrow. Behold the word of the Lord.